Yo, this is Redman in the building. Right now, you are checking out my boy, Mr. A, at the set. Talking about real life education, community addiction, and just real people in general. So, Mr. A, let's get this shit going on. Light your blunts, fasten your seatbelts, and squeeze on your girl titty. Ow! Mr. A at the set is starting now.
Making it classic again. welcome everybody. As you know, I'm your host, Mr. A. This is the set 6145. Today we have a special edition of the set. I'm pleased to welcome two gentlemen who are creatives, actors, cinematographers, or I should say filmmakers, writers, and beyond. And today we're going to talk about their project that they had produced. One acted in the project and the other one created a documentary about the project called Latin Lives. And I think it's very important, as always, to profile our people and the things that they're doing. I want to say salute to Mark Rain, who was just on the episode of, I believe, CSI, and his counterpart, Black Rose. She's out there in the comedy circuit, influencing. She's doing her thing. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome these two gentlemen, Mr. Robert Mercado and Mr. Robert Maisonett. I hope I don't mess up his name, but he can correct me when they come in. All right, so we want to welcome them to the set.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. So again, I'll ask one more time. Did I mangle anybody's name?
No, I think you said it right. It sounded right. Maisonett, yeah, you sounded right.
I think I said Mercado and Maisonett. Like Maisonett is a material that you use in construction.
Right. No, but it's Maisonett.
Maisonett. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. I appreciate you guys being able to give me your time. Let me just pull this back a little bit. So let's start from the beginning. I always like to start from the beginning so that people can really get a sense of who you are and where the work started, where the ambition and creation for you to be actors or filmmakers or writers or whatever it is that you do. Where did it start at? So Mercado, I'll start with Mercado, who is to our right. Where did the inspiration to get into filmmaking come for you?
Well, I was always that kid in school that, for playtime, I would be arranging like, all right, we're all on the set, we're all Buffy, and I'd be assigning the roles. All right, you're Oz, I'm Xander. And I remember even a friend telling me, you would make yourself Buffy if you could, and I was like, yeah, I would, But I always loved, staying home and playing with my toys. I didn't have, friends like that. So I played with my toys, and I feel like that's kind of like filmmaking and writing is like the evolution of that. It's not toys anymore. It's real people, know. But yeah, I think that's kind of where my fascination started. Just loving to be creative and, being in my own world,
Yeah, I think that Latino families, when we talk about being creatives or artists, that's something from our culture that's very shunned upon because it's always, well, how are you going to make money? Right. So Rob M, where did the inspiration come for you to become an actor?
Well, for me, it was a little different. I knew exactly that I wanted to do this when I was a little kid. I remember watching The Electric Company as a little boy and seeing Rita Moreno on it. And it was the first time I ever saw somebody on TV that looked like me.
Right.
And I said, I want to do that. I want to do what she's doing. And I was very blessed that when I went to my parents to tell them that what I wanted to do, they supported me 100%. My mother took whatever money we had and she signed me up for acting classes at a school that was actually right across the street from where we lived in the Bronx. And that was the beginning of my acting career.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So your mom... I have to ask both of these because I made a reference to this, in our culture, being creative is something that's really shunned upon. Were both your parents supportive in your endeavor to be creatives?
Yeah, for me, I was. I was very blessed. My dad and my mom have been my biggest
my biggest cheerleaders. I mean, they believed in me when times when I didn't even believe in myself. They've been so supportive. They come and see everything that I'm in. They are so behind me and so proud. And I think they're just happy that I'm doing what I love doing.
Right.
And actually my whole family has been very supportive. They've been very influential in my career, and in some ways Latin Lives, the project that I wrote, is a love letter to my family.
Oh wow. Okay. So
I'm taking
Mercado.
that. Yeah, I would say my family has always been supportive of me being a creative person, and I was writing like series when I was in high school, and I would pass out the scripts, and I would always have my mom, like, she was the one who read every draft of them, and she's a creative person herself. She had a website that she used to write stories on, that she had people tuning in like from all over the world, like writing her emails, like the Mistress of Darkness. So she was always creative, and I took a page out of her book, for sure. And yeah, like I'm blessed, like Robbie, that she's always been someone who's there. Like every time I have a play going on, she's always there front row and supporting. And if I have anything going on for an audition, I'm like, Ma, you got to read this audition with me. She's ride or die. One of my friends described her as,
That's a beautiful thing.
I'm blessed in that way. Yeah, fortunately.
So it sounds like both of you guys have a very strong foundation of support when it comes to your family life, right? Now, personally, what was it like for you guys growing up as young men? Like, say, teenager to high school and beyond. Like, how was the upbringing? Was it difficult?
It's funny. I wouldn't have changed the way that I was raised. I was raised with my entire family. Like, I didn't have friends. I didn't make friends until I got to college. I mean, my cousins were my friends. We did everything together. The family would get together on the weekends. In the summertime, we'd be at each other's house like every single day. So yeah. I was kind of raised in this environment where I was surrounded by love. I always had my family, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins all around me. It's kind of like it was a positive thing. I wouldn't change it. I think that really helped keep me grounded,
right,
and focused as I grew up.
Mercado, did you have the same experience growing up? Were you isolated in a way, or?
I wouldn't say I was isolated. I have some cousins I'm very close to, like Robbie. We grew up going to my abuela's house, and that's where we would chill for the weekends and for the summers and go away to Puerto Rico. So we were all very close knit and tight. Also, but then, in my immediate family with my mom, she's someone who always encouraged education. And she's always someone who's encouraged me to dream, and my brothers as well to dream. So the way I feel like we grew up is like, follow your interests, because life isn't really just about money. I was fortunate to have that mom, she'll say herself, she's bohemian, maybe she shouldn't have let us do this or that, but, kids should be kids. And, yeah, I was very fortunate, I would say, with the way my mom was with me and my brothers. She said, dream, do it. You want to do it. Nothing's stopping you but you,
That is a beautiful thing. I want to make sure that you guys both understand the reasoning behind me bringing this up. There's two things at play here. One, I feel like Robert M. grew up in my time, because you referenced the electric company. So
yeah,
that gives me an idea we're in the same age bracket. I don't want to offend, so I'm just going to leave that at that. So I know, Mercado, you probably grew up a little later, in that when we were in high school, you were probably in junior high or just getting out of elementary school, somewhere in that area, right?
I was class of 05.
Oh, wow. Nosotros somos viejos, ya. So the reason why I'm asking you these questions is sort of to demonstrate to people that'll watch this that the time that you may have grown up in as compared to him may be worlds apart. Because in our time when we grew up, who we were carried through in our experiences, and people weren't as forgiving as they are now. I guess it's the best way I could put it. So I wanted to know what the environment was like for you both growing up. We had a gentleman on the show, Andre. I think his last name is Rodriguez. He's a performer. He's a singer. He's from Park Slope. He goes by the acronym PRO. Puerto Ricans are outstanding, and he's done a lot of work. And his upbringing, growing up, he grew up fighting because of who he was, and that, like you say, your experiences is what made you. Those experiences really shaped who he was. And I think that people need to understand that we all don't have an easy path. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody is going to be, again, welcoming as others. So now that we got that out the way, Mercado, so how did you come to find this production? Was it by chance? Was it through a mutual acquaintance? How did this come to be?
So, Latin Lives, the series had a really great word of mouth going on online. And I was on Facebook at the time. I think it was like 2014, 15. And I kept hearing about the project. I kept seeing the name pop up, Latin Lives. And I kept seeing random things about it. And I'm like, what is this Latin Lives? Why? And, how come I've not seen where the auditions are? Like, I'm missing every opportunity. And then eventually I found the actual show, got to watch it. And I'm like, well, I got to really be on this. So I was, stalking Robert Maisonett on Facebook. So I was making sure I wouldn't miss any posting for the auditions. And I saw something come up, and I think I hit you up right away. I was like, hey, I'm interested. Hey, I'm available. I could be there. And it worked out perfectly to be a part of the series. And that's how I heard about it. That's how I got involved.
So Robert M., could you sort of give the audience a roundabout understanding of the premise of Latin Lives? Like, what is it about?
Well, Latin Lives is a play about the trials and tribulations of this family, the Ramirez family, and their friends living here in New York City. The play is a series of vignettes that are connected. The family begins and ends each act, and characters crisscross. So that's where you get like a day in the life of this family and their friends. And we try to touch upon different issues that affect the Latin community. We deal with classism, cultural segregation, racism, even homosexuality is brought up in the play. And it's done in a way that, yes, we're trying to entertain. We're trying to enlighten. We're not trying to preach or tell people how to live. I'm hoping that they come, they enjoy it, they laugh, and they walk away and they think about the things that we brought up, and maybe just think about things and how they want to go forward. But the unity of the play, the whole message about the play is about unity. It's about us as Latinos, being one. It's called Latin Lives for a reason. Some of the characters are Puerto Rican, some of the characters are Cuban, some are Dominican, Mexican. We try to, and over the years, we've had actors from every part of the islands and Latin America being in the show, themselves, so it's something that is universal, the themes. It's our story being told. And something that you mentioned earlier, I think that's the reason that the show came about, was because of the fact of what I was experiencing growing up here, how I was raised. I didn't have some of the issues that a lot of other Latinos had. I was born here, but I've always identified as Puerto Rican. I've always, when people ask me what I am, I say that I'm Puerto Rican because I've always been made to feel different living here. I've never felt like I was an American. From my earliest memories being in school, I knew where I was from, even though I wasn't born there. I was Puerto Rican. And the first 10 years of my career, I was very blessed in the sense that casting directors didn't know what to do with me. There weren't that many Latin roles when I was starting out, so I was playing everything else. I was playing, Italian, Jewish, Greek, light skin, black. And they didn't know, you know, my managers and my agents didn't know what to send me out for. They were just sending me out and I was booking stuff. But it wasn't until I auditioned and got my very first film. I had been doing theater for 10 years and I got the very first film I auditioned for. I got it. It was a lead role for a independent film by a Puerto Rican visionary director, playwright, Pete Resto. And it was the first time that I was playing a Latino and working with other Latin artists. And I was hearing their struggles and the different things that they've had to endure that I didn't get to endure because I don't have an accent and my skin isn't that dark. And they weren't getting the same opportunities and the chances that I was getting. And that's where the seed started for me creating Latin Lies. I wanted to start working with other Latin actors and I wanted to start telling our stories.
Right.
Yeah, I think when you see the play and you see it all out, and even the series, you know, the characters are real. You know, it's like conversations that have happened in our families happen on this series. You know, it's real. And I feel like it tells our stories in a charming way, but still real way where it's not just like, you know, sugarcoating anything. It's raw, you know, and I think it speaks to a lot of people, you know, where you talk about how people are raised can, you know, hinder or help them be able to be who they want to be. You know, on Latin Lives, the main cast, the Ramirez family, they're good people, you know, but they're flawed. And I think that was the beauty that you could see that, you know, they're just like us, that we're all flawed people. And maybe we didn't have the mom and dad who did the best things every single time, but they tried. And then, you know, being able to rely on that family was another beautiful thing that as Latinos, I think most of us can relate to, even if maybe we didn't experience it. You know, it's a part of our culture that we recognize as like, it's a familia, you know, and I think the series really did that well. And the play also just, you felt a part of the family, you know, like you knew these people.
There's a lot of connective tissue in the material.
Yeah,
that people can really personalize for themselves. And
Right.
I have a question because I heard you make reference to people being flawed. Now the thing about it is that my understanding is we're all flawed. None of us are perfect, right? Do you believe that there's certain segments of the population that inherently believe to themselves that wealth gives you access to that image of being perfect?
I see that meme a lot, you know, where they're just talking about people and they're saying, see, nobody's ugly, they're just broke, you know. I think that's where, you know.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that feel that way. I mean, definitely. There's definitely people that feel that money is going to make things easier or just make them happier. And you know, but I think that's in every culture, just human beings in general. I think, you know, people think that way. I mean, for me, I may be a struggling broke actor, but I'm happy. I'm happy doing what I love doing. I wouldn't trade that for any, you know, look at all these famous actors and some of them aren't really happy, you know. They may have the fame and the fortune, but they're miserable, you know, and you know, so it's like I feel like we're all on our own paths and we gotta all find our own happiness our own way, you know. For some people it's money, for others it's just doing what they love doing.
And I think yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, you know, you brought up that I said, you know, the people are flawed and, you know, nobody's perfect. You know, but I do think, you know, we all have to be able to like arrive in who we are and like be able to kind of like self-actualize and be able to be okay with who we are and meet yourself where you're at too. You know, you can't beat yourself up and say, oh, you know, I did this, I did that. You have to say, okay, but now I have a choice. I have this moment right now to go forward and be different. And where I may have been flawed, you know, in some perceptions, I have the ability to change that, you know?
For sure.
Sorry, a lot of noise.
No, it's real. This is what we do. It's New York City, yeah, for sure. I think it speaks to the point of people will live a facade. People will gladly live a lie. for however long, whether it's their insecurity, whether it's their family putting them in that position, whether it's guilt because they don't want to let down or hurt the people that love them, right? People will live that lie if you let them. And I think that's another reason why I'm asking these questions in the way that I am, because the Latino community has such a strong position when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to racism of our own, right? But now in this moment, people have grown weary and tired of that, in not being who they want to be, essentially, right? So I think it's important that these conversations or stories that are in this play are told, because it makes us confront that. You know, the only way to figure out or to fix a problem is by confronting it, not by hiding from it, right? Because I'm
Yes.
sure the uncomfortability of the conversation that either one of you may or may not have had with your parents or somebody you loved at one point, like, that's heart-wrenching sometimes because you don't know the reaction. Milan.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And I think that, is this something that's also part of the play?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that you talked about, there's actually, I was just going to say, one of the vignettes that you talk about deals with that very issue of a woman who is Latina, and she's living this life as a movie executive because that's the career she's chosen, but she has like assimilated to the fact that she can't even pronounce, and this is somebody who was born on the island, she can't even pronounce the words right anymore. And it's a running theme inside the skit where when she tries to speak Spanish, she mispronounces the words. But then, and later on in the vignette, another character calls her out on it, and tells her, like, "What is your problem? Are you ashamed of being Latin now?" So yeah, that we like I said, we try to have, you know, there's a lot of comedy in it, but there's also very, very serious moments where we bring up some really hard questions. And just like you said, I think that these are conversations that we need to have. These are things that we need to talk about, because that's the only way that we're going to get any progress or make any headway in bettering everything, is to just be open and honest about what's going on.
I think that's the only art worth making if you're like adding to the conversation. Otherwise, there's no point. You know, for me at least, I feel like as an independent filmmaker, there's a lot of other people telling a bunch of very cookie cutter stories out there. And while I can control it myself, I shouldn't be making those pictures. You know, that's how I look at it. I should be doing things that really matter and that can, you know, that's telling someone's story that someone really can relate to, you know, stuff that impacts.
I was very young when I started Latin Lives, and I was so green, and I was like such a kid. And I remember we had the very first show, we had a talk back with the audience, because I only wanted to put this show up for like 2 nights, and I never wrote anything. I don't consider myself a writer. I wanted to just hear, you know, I wanted to do a show with Latin actors, and we had a talk back with the audience, and it was interesting. There was this debate that went on between this older Latin woman and a young Latin boy, and it was about one of the subjects that we talk about at the very end of the play, and their perspectives were so different. And it got very intense, and I was backstage very upset because I was like, I wasn't trying to start something, and
no estaba muriendo, no estaba ahí like, ay Dios mío.
Yeah, it was just like, I felt so bad. I was like, and I thought, like, I said she hated it, and one of the actresses pointed out, and she said, no, papi, that she didn't. One of the actresses told me she didn't hate it. The opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, and that's always stayed with me. And it's just like, you made her feel something. You got her thinking, you know.
Yeah.
You got her uncomfortable and angry, and she said, and that's a good thing. The worst thing, she told me, the worst thing that could happen is that they walk away and they didn't feel anything. And you know, these are always lessons that you learn in life and in art. And I'm so grateful that Gloria Herrera told me that all those years ago, and it stood with me, and it gave me the strength to keep pushing the envelope with the show. As the years go on, every time we put it up, I tweak the script. We have to polish the script and tweak it just so that it can reflect whatever is going on in the world at this time. So while the major storylines are the same, little things are changed here and there to reflect our times. And I realized that, you know, yeah, I'm not doing anybody any favors by holding back or trying to. That's not our job as artists, you know. We're here to put a mirror up to the situation, not to try to sugarcoat things or to make things too pleasant for people, and you know that. And I'm from an older generation, so I really don't, you know, I'm all about like pushing the envelope.
Mercado, do you sort of relate to what Rob said in that you want to make people not necessarily uncomfortable, but you want to put them in the position to be confrontational in the things that they're misunderstanding or confused by?
Yeah, I think like Robbie mentioned earlier, like I think the only way that things can change is if we talk about it. I think that's where a lot of family trauma comes from, where there's things that, oh, nobody ever talked about, you know. That's that's where the trauma brings the drama. And yeah, talking about these important topics, I feel like in our media, I think it's important because yeah, that's the only way people strike up a conversation, you know. And you know, the projects I've written, I have LGBT themes also, and you know, you hope that maybe somebody's watching it and maybe they can put it on and see themselves and maybe give them a little courage to live out loud, you know, and not be worried, you know, that they could see some people who are like them, because there's that conversation too that goes around, oh, is it the gay agenda? And I'm like, well, forget the gay agenda, you know, there's a straight agenda too, but that, you know, it's like, it's not just we want to put gay people in just so that everyone else can turn gay or something. It's like, no, there's gay people who exist, and we go to the movies, we consume media and content also, and it's good to see yourself every once in a while. And you know, so in my projects, I tend to play, you know, a gay man, and you know, I was thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, it's because I feel like, like we were saying, when we do our projects ourselves, we shouldn't have to sugarcoat it. You know, we should get to be our authentic selves as much as we want to. You know, and it's a vulnerability.
And I think that was the main thing for me when I was doing Latin Lies. So much of the show is based on not necessarily word for word, but you know, the people that I've experienced in my life, not just my family, but there's a scene we call the beauty parlor, which, you know, a lot of those characters are from where I used to get my hair cut, you know. They were just such these big personalities, and I was just like, these people need to be seen. And I think that for me is really what's important about the show, is that these characters are real and they're raw, and they're not, I think when he says flawed in the sense, what I think about when I think about the characters in Latin Lies is that you know, when you see Latin things that are Latin projects or plays or that are not written by us, and we're always portrayed from one extreme to the other. Either we're like these religious, you know, passionate religious people, or we these like drug addicts, you know. It's like we can never just be real.
Cosby,
you know,
we can never be like Cosby.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like and for me that was important, you know, with Latin Lies, was that I wanted these characters to just be the people that we see every day, that we know. And what's so funny is that we have so many people that are not Latinos who have come and seen the show and love the show because the themes are universal and they can relate to these characters. They may be from another ethnicity, but they're like, oh, my sister is just like that character, or my aunt is just like, you know. And I love hearing that, because they realize that yes, we have some things that keep us separate, but we have so much more that unites us, regardless of our backgrounds. That at the end of the day, we're all facing the same types of issue. You know, everybody's dealing with cultural segmentation. Everybody's dealing with colorism. Every group is dealing with classism. You know, it's not just exclusive to us. And I think that's a big thing. Is when you're writing, is trying to make it universal.
Right. Of course, you have to be able to connect with people in some way, shape, or form. And I think that Mr. Mercado brought up the point of cookie cutter. Today we have too much of that shit going on, and it's boring, to be quite honest with you. But you also said something that I want to ask you guys, because I think it is important that I have you here, and I want to take advantage of this moment. You mentioned the gay agenda, right? Now in
Miguel's
20
gonna ask about that one. Okay.
no. I think this is good because this can be a teachable moment because not everybody has the same experience. One, not everybody believes the same things. Two, right?
And
So
that's okay.
right, and it's totally cool. Um, I, in 2023, now more than ever, we see this community out front and center. And I'm not just talking parades. I'm talking about media, right? Um, where do you guys stand? And if you don't feel comfortable answering, it's totally fine, but I want to ask, where do you guys stand with the connection of more so right now because they're at the forefront with trans lives where children are involved in the teaching and the exposure to them.
Do you want to touch him?
Don't jump all at once. You can say
Uh,
no. It's totally cool. We could skip it if you want, but I just wanted to ask.
I mean, for me personally,
Yes.
I think
Cuidado.
I gotta be honest. I think I mean, are you asking me like what my opinion is about what's going on in Florida and everything and all that stuff?
No. I mean, this is what I mean. Let me just say it directly to the point.
Right.
As two men of a certain age, do you feel that people outside of a child's home should be teaching them certain things about life in that context? Or do you feel that the responsibility of that should be left solely to a parent?
That's a deep question because
Right.
I'm not gonna say that a parent who feels that they're the ones that should be teaching it, that they don't have the right to feel that way or say that way. My thing is like, if you're gonna feel that way, then make sure you're teaching your kids about it. If you don't want them to learn it from somewhere else, then make sure that you're teaching them, because that's the thing. I don't think it's about who's doing it, but somebody should be doing it. Somebody should be teaching people to respect others, regardless of what what their sexual orientation is, whether they're transgender. You may not have to like it or understand it, but you got to respect it. The hate is the problem. So I don't think that it's wrong for a parent to say, hey, a school shouldn't be doing it, I should be doing it. That's fine, then do it. Make sure you're doing it. Make sure that you're having that conversation with your children and educating them, and not enforcing hate. That's the only thing I can say about that. I'm not gonna knock a parent who feels, because again, if I was a parent, I may,
You may feel a different way. Yeah.
Something other than, but I think it's important that children learn. I think people, kids need to learn at an age. I mean, we you talk about how the LGBT is in the media right now, but I've always had it in Latin Lives. The gay storyline in Latin Lives originally in the very first production was a very funny scene where this son and his boyfriend come home to announce that they're getting married to this crazy family, and at the end, obviously back then it wasn't like a real marriage. It's more like they just wanted to commit themselves in front of the people that they love. And when I brought the show back, I decided to put them in the main family, and it became a very it changed the entire dynamic of the show, and they've been part of the main storyline since then. And over the years, we've had to change things up. Like, for instance, they were always talking about a commitment ceremony, but when marriage became legal, we were able to put that in the show, and it made all the difference to the audience. And I never knew how the audience was going to react, but I was not afraid to go there. I was not, and I've had people come to me up after the show telling me that after seeing this, they see things a little bit differently, because here they saw these two characters that just loved each other,
right,
and wanted to be together,
right,
and that changed their mind. And that's the power of art. That's the power that we have as artists, is that maybe we can enlighten somebody, educate somebody, or just open somebody's mind up to the possibilities of things.
Right.
And that's why I'm forever grateful about the experience that I've had doing this over these years. And I wouldn't change anything. It has been such an incredible experience. I have all the letters, all the emails, all the cards from audience members, from cast members, explaining and expressing their gratitude or how the show affected them. And yeah.
Thankful.
Yeah.
Mercado, let me ask you, because I think we were going someplace, and that I appreciate your answer and your honesty on that. Mercado, do you think we're gonna shift gears, but we're gonna sort of stay in the same sort of lane? A lot of people today feel like the representation of the community is very over sexualized. I'm not talking about in TV shows, or I'm not talking about
The Latino community or the gay community.
The gay community.
Okay.
I just want to say the community, being respectful.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
I like it. Sounds cool.
Listen, the community. I gotta cater to my audience. I gotta cater to my guests.
I appreciate it. We appreciate
So,
it. I'm gonna get a shirt with the community.
So a lot of people feel like the community is represented in a very over sexualized way. And on the flip side of that, I see straight people very over sexualized in the media, right? But a lot of people tend to make that their gripe. You know, we go to the Pride Parade and these guys these people are dressed this way and doing this and walking around with 10-foot penises and blah, 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 blah. Do you feel that in any way, shape, or form that's sort of like a detriment to the community? Do you feel like it hurts the community when they are as flamboyant as they want to be in this moment?
No, I think, Pride is called Pride. And, one time I found myself on the train with my buddy Manny saying, "Are you going to Pride?" And I'm like whispering it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually whispering the word pride, So, I feel like at gay pride, like any festival, the Puerto Rican Day Parade, we has huepa salsa all the way up, And it's like everybody else around us, if they don't like it, well, turn around and look the other way, because we all the way flags up Puerto Rico, And I feel like being gay, it's a festival, it's, everybody has to comply to the law at this festival. It's public space and there's laws. And I think as long as people are being law-abiding citizens, then, it's really like, it's up to the media how they want to portray everything, right?
Right.
And so if the media chooses to put, I do think that everybody's over-sexualized. Like you mentioned, I think straight people and gay people are over-sexualized, but the media, I think, also chooses, because I think there's a lot of sway, in politics to have groups kind of have friction, is to see the differences, to highlight them. So to make sure that during election season, they can pull your strings to vote for whoever, because you just saw this on the news and you should care about that subject, because don't you want those people to stop reading to your kids? Well, this guy's the guy for you. Vote for him, So the media only cares about what's going to get clicks and who's going to help them stay, relevant. Keep their channels going longer,
Yeah. I want you both to know, I want to ask these questions because these are questions that these are the conversations we need to have to get a better understanding of where we're at. Because in a lot of ways, I have no skin in the game, in that my children are grown and they have their own minds. And when we have conversations, I can state how I feel or see things. And they tell me, because they're young adults, mira papi, this is what it is. And hey, if you don't like it, que se joda. Not necessarily in that tone, but they're already established young adults, right?
Right.
But a lot of in society today, there is it's such a hot button issue, and it's important that people understand that not everybody thinks one way, right?
Right.
And even though I have two gentlemen who are part of this community, they may not necessarily agree. They may not necessarily go along with the status quo of said community. It might be different. So these are the reasons behind why I'm asking you what I'm asking you. I think this is a very good teaching moment for people who are going to watch that can see, yo, these are two gay men who are mature adults, and this is the way they think, and this is how they feel about these situations. You know, a lot of people will see you, empieza a hablar, and they're like, they're part of that, blah, 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 blah. You understand? And it's important for you guys to really represent yourselves organically so that people can start stepping away from that mindset, you know? So back to the Latin Lives. It almost sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this play is like evolutional, that it's just not one, this is what it is, and this is the way it's stayed. Every time it's been performed, it's sort of been an evolution and a change and a growth. Is that correct?
Yes,
And
definitely.
how long has this been going on for?
Woo! We started way back in 1992, believe it or not.
What?
Yeah, the show's been whenever I could afford to put it up, I put it up. We started in 92. In 2015, Tappy Ferrer, who was working on the play with me, brought up turning it into a web series, which I've always envisioned the play becoming a TV series. That was always a goal, even back in 92, 93. I just never, never evolved into that. We had some almost things happening with people taking us to the next level, some producers that were interested, but I was always very cautious about who I got in bed with, because some people they like really wanted to turn it into something other than what I intended. Right. So it was important for me to stay true to what I was creating. With Tappy, she was like, I have the background in film and stuff. So I'm very grateful to her, because if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have the web series. And we did 2 seasons, 20 episodes with no money. It was just a labor of love. The cast and the crew donated their time and their talent to this. And it was just a very beautiful experience. We reached a different fan base of people who never saw the show, people who were able to witness Latin lives that weren't here in New York. They're all around the country. Some people even in Europe who's checked it out. And the next time we were able to put it up, we had people that actually had never seen the play but knew the web series, so they were coming to see the play for the first time. And that's technology for you, modern technology. We made headway.
For sure.
Yeah. So like I said, it's always evolved, because we have to reflect whatever's going on in the world right now.
And it's so funny. Robbie always works in all these like pop culture references. And I got to do it in 2 consecutive years. So I got to see them change. Like the reference was Cardi B one year, the next year is Nicki Minaj, whatever it was. So it's funny. It's just like, and being that's live theater, Robbie, he knows this play inside and out, so he would ad-lib a joke here and there. And that was the danger for all you actors out there watching. When you're on set of a play or a series, whatever, be ready for people who are pros, and they will and they might make a joke on you right on stage. You better know how to give it back. Those are the kind of things. Vanessa Ortiz also, who's a part of the series, who's in the series and the play, she was always that way. She might throw in a joke to rib you right on stage, and you have to give it back, So it was so fun, and it was really, that's why I had to do the documentary, because it was like, that was such a special moment in my life. I got to meet great people. I consider Robbie a really great friend and like a mentor. He's taught me so much about the business and life, and so many similarities in our stories as creatives. But yeah, Latin Lives, it was fun behind the scenes too. It had its drama, the fun, the stuff we could talk about till like 3 a.m, just talking shit. Like, remember that? It was a great time. So, I can't wait for people to see it again on stage.
Where was the web series posted?
The web series is still available on YouTube. We have a YouTube page. People, if they're interested, they can subscribe. It's free. and you can watch all 20 episodes and laugh and cry and have a good time.
Just Google Latin Lives
the web
1.
series.
Yeah,
Latin Lives, the web series. Yeah.
And who are some of the castmates that you guys had? Who are some of the castmates that you guys had?
Vanessa Ortiz.
There's been several actors and actresses over the years who've been in the show. A lot of them are still working actors. I'm very proud of all of them that are out there in Hollywood, knocking down barriers, opening up doors. It's incredible the amount of talent that we've had over the years involved in the project. Mercado's been in it. Vanessa Ortiz, Alessio Arujo, Chris Paredes. Paredes, I'm pronouncing her name wrong.
Chris
Paredes. Victoria Cartagena, who was on Gotham and Batwoman and played Renee Montoya, was one of our cast members. And I could say that because she's always proud of the fact that she did Latin Lives, and I'm proud of her. It was an incredible experience working with her, and I'm so proud that she's out there doing her thing. There's been a lot of actors and actresses over the years who've been part of the show.
Yeah, and the series and the docu I mentioned, I say, you know, the who's who of anybody who's been in New York working a Latino has been either in the play or the series somehow. Because you go to IMDb and look up Latin Lives and you'll see all the names. You know, It's like, whoa, we're all connected, you know, to the same Latino familia here in Nueva York. You know?
That is amazing to have so many notable characters in the production, and it's a beautiful thing to see that people not only move on to bigger and better things. Not to say that it's a launching pad, it's an experience, right? But they don't forget.
Yeah.
They don't forget about the people that they worked with.
Yeah, I mean it's you know. I'm not gonna say that every actor had a great time doing it because that would be a lie, you know. I mean, it's just you're never gonna be able to please everybody. There's actors who I'm sure hated the experience. They were like, you know, all I could do is the best that I can, and for me, it was important that every time that we did it, I try to get not just the most talented, but people that I believed in, people that had some raw talent. For some of the actors, this was their first time being on stage. For some of them, it was their first time working with other Latin actors. For some of them, it was their first time just having a lead role, you know, and that makes all the difference for you as an actor to finally be able to push yourself and stretch yourself. Because if all you're doing is playing, you know, the doorman here with a line there or the drug addict here with a line there, that you're not going to grow as an actor. You know what I mean? You need that challenge. You need to not just show other people what you can do, but show yourself. You know, that's what's important is you realizing I can do this. And I'm so proud that for so many of the actors, Latin Lives was that moment for them where they finally realized, you know what, I can do this. Some of them got their first agents from doing the show, because that was one of the ways that I couldn't pay everybody, but I always made sure to do a mailing and get agents and casting directors and other directors and managers to come see the show. And through the years, so many of the actors got their representation from doing Latin Lives. So I'm proud of that fact. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that interested me about being on Latin Lives was, did you freeze? No, you're good.
No,
okay,
I'm
sorry.
good.
Yeah, okay, sorry, my bad. You know, internet things. I'm used to dial up and you know, when you're looking at, when you don't have representation, you don't have a manager, you don't have an agent, and you're just starting out. And even now, you look at the casting calls, and a lot of them are pretty specific about who they want. And you don't often see a role that is like Latino, you know, especially not in the lead. You know, and that was one of the things that interested me about getting involved with Latin Lives, because I was like, well, that means I'm welcomed, I'm in, you know. So, you know, that, and I wasn't disappointed at all with the experience. It was, you know, it was something very special. We made some great memories, I think, with some of these cast people that we still chat with on our group chat that we have to this day, that were like, happy birthday. And we've been in this group chat for like, what is it, almost 10 years?
No, about 4 or 5 years now.
Oh my God, 4 or 5, yeah.
I mean, he loves the show more than I do. He made a documentary about it. So, which I'm very grateful to him that I didn't know he was working on this. This was a surprise for me. The anniversary came up, and because of COVID and everything, I wasn't able to get the show up. I really did want to put it up one more time for the anniversary, but it didn't happen. And all I asked him to do was a little video, like maybe a 3-minute or 4-minute video thing, so I could put up on social media. And he winds up doing a documentary. And seeing it and seeing some of the past cast members talking about their experience and watching clips and footage, and it really meant so much to me. Thank you for that. Really, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know I was doing the project. I was working on it for like 6 months, and I said, all right, you got to come over to my place. I'm going to show you this documentary I've been working on for you. He's like, I'm scared. I'm like, I am too. And, he's sitting there. He's just crying. He's, oh, my God, I'm so moved. I have no words. And I'm like, yeah, man. It was.
No, he did a really good job. He really did a good job of capturing the essence of the series and really showing people what Latin Lives was about. And why it meant so much to so many people. Beautiful work.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's making the connection and then putting this work together speaks volumes. Not only helping to not only promote the show, but making the relationships. And these are relationships that have continued on for years. And to see you guys together in this moment and still having that same kind of energy of like, we're still very passionate about it. It's a great show. It's a beautiful thing. Sometimes you meet people and it's fleeting, right? You can meet somebody today, tomorrow, que sé yo, they have representation. Now they're like, Rob, who? I don't know you. ¿Quién eres tú? You know what I'm saying? So to see you guys still in this moment, it's almost like you're having a moment of nostalgia about the show, and it's wonderful. Now, so Latin Lives can be seen on YouTube. The documentary is posted on YouTube as well.
It's going to be posted on YouTube shortly in
a
couple of days.
Yeah, we haven't shared it publicly just yet. Yeah.
Okay. So then
it's been going around to friends and the cast so far.
but it is going up in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to make sure that we want to make sure that we reference that. Why don't you guys let everybody know first and foremost where they could find you on social media, and then let them know where they can find the shows officially.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm on Instagram at Robert Mercado World, and my links are there. I have a YouTube channel. If you look up Robert Mercado World, we'll probably be posting it there, and then also on the official Latin Lives page, also where the series is. So it's important to go to you have to Google Latin Lives, the series, season 1, episode 1, and just be very particular so you get exactly the series. Instead of because we have interviews and things like that also posted up.
Yeah, but you can watch the interviews too. So
but watch the series. That's what's gonna hook.
Get to know the players.
I got hooked on this series.
You can find us. We have a YouTube page, Latin Lives, the web series, the YouTube page. It has all the episodes, all the videos, every clip, everything that we've done, every promo, and it will be up there too. The documentary. It's free. Subscribe. You can also go to our Latin Lives Facebook page and like that. Not only do we post about Latin Lives, but I try to keep updating everything about whatever is going on in the Latin community in the arts. So I will be posting about Latin shows that you should see, Latin movies that you should see, plays, things that you should be supporting, people that you should be checking out. So I try my best to keep that updated. And as far as me, I'm old, so I'm only on Facebook. I don't do the Twitter or anything else, but you could find me at Robert Louis Maisonett on Facebook. And that's basically it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. All right, hold up a second. Let me open this up. Gentlemen, let me just say first and foremost, thank you for giving me your time. It was a great conversation. No, of course. I think, like I said in the beginning, it's very important that we expose people to what we're doing and letting people know that it's not just one angle We don't just sell soda on 47. Not all of us are dancing to Fanta music, right? And we all don't tell the fucking weather either, right? And we're not all playing salsa or merengue or cumbia or whatever. We are actors. We are creators. You know, that we come
Sometimes,
from
yeah. Sometimes we're doing those things while we're writing.
Yeah, exactly. We come from very diverse backgrounds, and being creative is something that we definitely thrive in. So it's important that we share this with everybody. And secondly, when this is going to drop, I would appreciate an email. I would like to include it on our page and sort of do our own little promo for you guys, because again, it's important that we get as many eyes and ears on it. You know what I'm saying? So
Thank you.
I truly, truly appreciate your time. And I hope that in the future, you know, the next performance, the next play that comes along, I would really like to take my wife and my son, who's a struggling actor himself, to come out and see the show. I think it'll be great.
Nice. You'll definitely be invited.
Definitely be invited.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I need a good laugh. Laughter is, listen, it's kept me looking as young as I am.
Oh my God. It's like lights up, and within 2 minutes you're laughing. When you know that bit with the documentary when they're banging on the radiator, that's right at the beginning, and everybody cracks up immediately.
We can all relate.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
So, gentlemen, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate this. You guys coming out and sharing your experience. And you're part of the family. So if anything in the future, anything that's coming up, all you have to do is send me an email and we will promote it here on the set. All right.
Yeah. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, the two Roberts from Latin Live.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Shout out to everybody doing good. You mentioned Mark Rain, Black Rose, Wepa. Love you. Bye-bye.